Good evening. I'm Vicky Hetherington, and this is Channel 8 News. On tonight's show, An Inconvenient Truth, we look at Mr. Al Gore, who's the creator of the worldwide phenomenon film An Inconvenient Truth, which is 90 minutes based on the ideas that humans are causing global warming to occur more rapidly due to the amount of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide. After, we will look at the Great Global Warming Swindle, where Channel 8 delves into the other side of the argument with the film The Great Global Warming Swindle, in which author and filmmaker Martin Durkin identifies and justifies his theory that the cause of global warming is triggered by solar patterns, CO2 produced by humans is too small to have an impact, and the increase of CO2 occurs only after an increase of the sun's temperature. Then, coming up later on Channel 8 News, where does the sounder argument lie? Does Al Gore or Martin Durkin have the stronger argument, and why is this so? Both of the films address climate change, although their theories are almost entirely opposing. But first up tonight, how does global warming work? An Inconvenient Truth provides this explanation. Sunlight enters the Earth's atmosphere. Some is absorbed, some is reflected, but the atmosphere traps some of the reflected sunlight. If the amounts of greenhouse gases increase, they make it harder for reflected sunlight to escape, so more is trapped, leading to a warmer atmosphere. It is important to say, although there are some climate change skeptics that believe we are not witnessing anything out of the ordinary in terms of climate, both passionate promoters of their cause believe that climate change is undoubtedly occurring, but the major point of difference is whether or not humans are the cause of this process and its speedy progression. Now moving on to An Inconvenient Truth. This film is a 90-minute version of former United States Vice President Al Gore's in-depth live presentation about global warming. Here is a short excerpt from the film.
The scientific consensus is that we are causing global warming.
This is the biggest crisis in the history of this country.
Early this morning, Hurricane Katrina slammed into New Orleans.
Is it possible that we should prepare against other threats besides terrorists? The Arctic is experiencing faster melting. If this were to go, sea level worldwide would go up 20 feet. This is what would happen in Florida. Around Shanghai, home to 40 million people. The area around Calcutta, 60 million. Think of the impact of a couple 100,000 refugees, and then imagine 100 million. Our ability to live is what is at stake.
We will look at Al Gore and the evidence behind his theory about global warming, which he based the film An Inconvenient Truth on. This film and theory centers around the conclusion that climate change is real and that the levels of carbon dioxide have risen due to human activity. For example, burning fossil fuels which are used for fueling cars, airplanes, coal and gas-powered electricity plants, and products that we use to heat our homes. The fact is, a huge number of everyday products that we use would not be available without oil and gas. At one point, Al Gore states that although there are some catastrophes that are seemingly caused by natural forces, they actually are not. He insists that they only have begun to happen after the effects of global warming have become more serious. Gore goes on to say in his film that natural sources of greenhouse gases are in natural balance, and so therefore the Earth can process this in a healthy cycle. But when we add in the amount of carbon dioxide and other gases that are used in everyday life, we're causing the scales to be heavier on one side, and that means that the Earth is out of balance and it becomes more difficult for the carbon dioxide to be consumed by natural processes such as oceans and forests. Al Gore has found that the temperature records have shown that the hottest 10 years on documentation have been in the past 14 years. There has been a drastic curve on the records showing rising temperatures and increasing carbon dioxide in recent years. There is strong evidence to show glaciers retreating in many corners of the world, including the Boulder Glacier in Montana and Hoshiang Glacier in Peru. Gore has also found that the ecosystem is gradually being destroyed due to climate change. He says that this results in evidence like the sea rising and the temperature of the atmosphere. Evidence of these occurrences have been seen in incidents such as trees in Alaska becoming lopsided and buildings collapsing in Siberia. An Inconvenient Truth is a powerful investigation on the issues of human-caused global warming. This film states that there is no scientific doubt that human-influenced global warming has increased, and therefore we have a moral responsibility to address and attempt to fix this problem. On the opposing side of the debate is Martin Durkin's film, The Great Global Warming Swindle.
Man-made global warming is no longer just a theory about climate. It is the defining moral and political cause of our age. Campaigners say the time for debate is over. Any criticism, no matter how scientifically rigorous, is illegitimate, even worse, dangerous. But in this film, it will be shown that the Earth's climate is always changing, that there is nothing unusual about the current temperature, and that the scientific evidence does not support the notion that climate is driven by carbon dioxide, man-made or otherwise. Everywhere you are told that man-made climate change is proved beyond doubt, but you are being told lies.
It seems that Al Gore's film has met its match. Millions have watched this documentary. It is based on science and includes interviews with climate scientists from around the globe. Durkin's theory is that there is no proof that global warming is caused by the rise of greenhouse gases from human activity. The main point that is raised in this film is that in fact it is the solar patterns that have caused the carbon dioxide levels to increase, which is the opposite of what most people understand to be true, which is that carbon dioxide that humans have created is causing the temperature increase. Durkin said, over the past few hundred years, there has been a steady increase in the number of sunspots at the time when the Earth has been getting warmer. The data suggests solar activity is influencing the global climate, causing the world to get warmer. Durkin also states that the amount of greenhouse gases that humans are creating is too small to have a significant impact compared to other sources like volcanoes or the ocean. The Great Global Warming Swindle also has evidence to suggest that the current warming is likely to be only a part of a natural cycle of the climate warming and cooling. The example that is used to support this is the Little Ice Age, from about 1400 to 1850 AD, which brought harsh winters and cold summers to a lot of Europe. This meant that there was a rise in failed harvests, starvation, and disease. The program also says that claims regarding global warming are fueled by scientists and politicians who are benefiting from the idea of global warming. So in other words, it's a sort of conspiracy to promote something that doesn't and will not exist. Finally this evening, does An Inconvenient Truth or The Great Global Warming Swindle explain to us the real reason behind global warming? While Martin Durkin seemingly has a strong argument, he had graphs and evidence that supported his theory well, but he had many holes in his proof. In ABC's Lateline, it is discovered that the graphs Martin Durkin used to show the connection between solar patterns and sunspots and the temperature ended 11 years before the show was aired. So why did Durkin do this? Well, after the time period that was shown on the graphs published in the Great Global Warming Swindle, the solar patterns and the sunspots started to decrease, while the levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere severely inclined, which weakened his argument. When asked on Lateline why he did not add the latest information, he denied knowledge of a reliable source of the last 11 years and said that it would conclude in the same outcome regardless. This is clearly incorrect. Al Gore has had many scientists and other supporters rally around him and try to slow down the impacts of global warming, while it seems Durkin is attempting to deny humans' ability to cause such an extensive problem. Al Gore is telling the population to get behind change and do something. So even if this is wrong, shouldn't we at least try, rather than avoid the situation and hope for the best? That's all for tonight on Channel 8 News. I'm Vicky Hetherington. Good night.